can literally see the edges of the blaze chewing away at the landscape. 6 people are confirmed dead. Flights to Maui on the island's western tip, the town of Lahaina, population 13,000.
Lahaina. Wow, we've been there.
Destroyed. That's
Wow.
where Te Aniwa Hurihanganui's report begins.
Terrifying scenes as the historic town
We've
of
been
Lahaina
there.
burns.
Never would I imagine that I lived through seeing my entire hometown go to dust, and that's basically what Lahaina is today.
Several wildfires are raging across Hawaii, fueled by powerful winds from passing Hurricane Dora.
This was a home.
The fires aren't just damaging, they're deadly.
We hear reports of casualties, bodies turning up because there's nothing else to do.
People are not just losing their homes, their jobs, they're losing each other.
Those escaping the flames still bearing the scars.
It's like an apocalypse.
There have probably been 20 patients seen at Maui.
That's climate change.
Secondary to fires. 4 of them that were critical from burns.
Others forced into the sea to safety, the US Coast Guard rescuing at least a dozen people.
And I just ran out to the beach and I ran south and I just helped everybody I could along the way.
Choppers are working to extinguish the fires as search and rescue efforts continue.
We have had 13 evacuations from different neighborhoods and towns. We've had 16 road closures. We've opened 5 shelters.
Oh my gosh, look at the harbor.
The scale of this disaster becoming more clear by the hour.
We were not prepared for what we saw. What we saw looked like an area that had been bombed and burned in a war zone. It was unbelievable. Even the boats in the harbor were burned down to the water. They're gone.
A difficult reality to comprehend as the fire rages on. Te Aniwa Hurihanganui, One News.
Joining us now from Honolulu is Hawaii News Now anchor Kiahi Taka. Kiahi, thank you for your time. What are you hearing from authorities right now?
Why didn't they talk about earlier?
At night here, the sun just went down. We had about 13 helicopters doing either water drops or search and rescue missions today. So they're now down for the night, but we still have fire crews at the scene of 3 separate fires, including the one in Lahaina that is still smoldering. But authorities are really trying to seal off the town right now, trying to make sure nobody gets in. They're worried about looting, violence, things like that. Over here to Oahu, the main island, putting them up at a convention center and hotels. And they're asking anybody around the world, if you don't have essential business in Maui, cancel your flight. Do not come to Maui right now. The resources are thin. About 100 fire crews still at the scene, and they are maxed out. So this is not the time to come to Maui.
Thanks very much for your insight, Kiahi. That's Kiahi Taka from Hawaii News Now. Dan's with us too in the studio to help explain how these wildfires are being fanned by Hurricane Dora. Tell us more, Dan.
Well, exactly. Hurricane Dora playing a big part, but it's not just that. Of course, some of the scenes we've been seeing, the frightening scenes, strong and severe gales, blowing, of course, these winds and fueling these fires. But what's causing it? Of course, Hurricane Dora is a Category 4. We zoom in close. That is sitting there, but there's also the North Pacific High, which is much, much bigger. So when you've got that and Dora, you've got a big squeeze zone. Hawaii is sitting there, and the yellow is those stronger winds. They've been blowing in intensity over the last several days. One little bit of good news, those will at least start to ease as you go through the next 24 to 48 hours as Dora, Category 4, tracks away from the Hawaii Islands and the high does start to weaken. But until then, very, very frightening conditions. As far as our chilly conditions, more on that in the next story. I'll be back later in weather.
Thank you for that, Dan. Dan is, of course, talking about the snow and icy conditions, which have caused commuter chaos in some parts of the South Island.
Raging hot in some places, freezing in others. So, insane world.
Revealing beauty and chaos. This van sliding on black ice and more tricky.
Luckily,
a few locals were on hand to help out.
I was on my way to work this morning, and we encountered obviously a little bit of a pile up of some people. So what we did, just made the scene safe, made sure no one else got involved. We came up from Stewart Street down the bottom here, fine, following a grit truck, thought it'd be easy. And then he started going sideways, so pulled over to the side and get a coffee, and we're good to go.
Most of the mainland feeling the chill. The snow level low enough to give the Port Hills and Littleton a dusting, closing local roads. And at the top of the South Island, there was a thick blanket. Even the Marlborough Sound saw snow. In Hanna Springs, it was the first snowfall of the year for these excited school kids.
we just cone off an area of the field to make a snowball zone so that if you want to throw snowballs, you've got to be in there, and if you want to be hit by snowballs, you've got to be in there, and it takes away most of the incidents throughout the day.
While people seeking warmth were at the hot pools.
The mountains are snow-covered now and the beautiful forests around us, so there's something magical about being in this sort of alpine village when it has snowed.
By this afternoon, most of the snow has melted here, and Met Service has lifted its heavy snow watches. A wintry front that's caused shivers throughout the country. Katie Stevenson, One News.
Waka Kotahi is now urging drivers further north to be cautious. Our Hawke's Bay-based reporter Henry McMullen joins